is for the open session as advertised. And on that note, I would like to get an indication from members that they do adopt the agenda for the open session as presented. By show of hand, please, members. Welcome, Mr. Mkhize, noted, and thank you for supporting the agenda. And Ms. Maseti, thank you. I also do support the adoption of the agenda. We then move on to, or before we proceed, let me just take this opportunity to allow members to really introduce or rather to greet the members, starting with Ms. Maseti, who is a member of the REC, chairperson of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee, and the acting FTRM for the electricity industry, and as well as chair of the that particular subcommittee. Ms. Maseti, do you want to greet the members?
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, Mr. Mkhize, and good morning to the members of the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maseti. We move on to Mr. Mkhize, who is the member of this particular committee, chairperson of the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee, and a member of other subcommittees and committees of the Energy Regulator. Mr. Mkhize, do you want to greet everyone?
Thank you, Chairperson. Greetings to you, Chairperson, Madam Maseti, management and staff present in the meeting, as well as the members of the public following us through the various live streaming platforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Lastly, introducing myself, I'm Nomalanga Stole, the chairperson of the REC and CEO of NESO, and I also sit on other various structures of the energy regulator. On that note, members, any declaration of interest that you would want to make verbally? I don't see any hand, rather. On that note, may I request that we all complete the forms that have been provided by the secretary for the committee and members, and also the same should be done by the NESA staff members that are in attendance. On that note, members, we would move on to our one item for the open session, which is for noting, and it is the financial analysis of Eskom's performance based on the audited financial report and annual financial report for the period ending 31st March 2024. Babu Shozi, you can guide as to who's going to assist us in terms of presenting this particular item. Please be mindful of the time that I've requested that we comply with. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Chair. Morning to you. The presentation will be done by Mr. Tilibarin Taken. He's going to stick to the 2 minutes that has been allocated for him to present. What to you, Bob?
Thanks, thanks, Chairperson. I will try to stick to the required time. And good morning to members and everyone on call. The submission is a request for the committee to note the Eskom performance for the year ending 31st March 2024. And the analysis is based on the regulatory financial reports and the annual financial statements. So this came about when we received the submission on the 20th of March 2025. And I must just correct the under 4.6 that the analysis is for the year ending 31st March 2024 and not 2025. Apologies for that. And we have received this report, Chairperson, after Eskom was given the request to submit, was given extension to submit that request to submit a delayed submission was approved on the 12th of August 2024. If I can quickly rush into the analysis, Chairperson, if I can take members under page, I think it's page 23, where we have summarized the conclusion on all the ratio analysis. So under 5.10.1, we are indicating that our observation is that the performance in terms of profitability has declined. Indeed, it has declined from 26 million 357 to 57 million and 84, which is about 116% decline, Chairperson. And on liquidity, we see that it is improving slightly, but still below the norm of 1. And if also I can indicate, members has requested that we must show that whether the revenue is either internal revenue or external revenue. We can confirm from our observation in the annual financial statement that the revenue include the internal and external revenue, except for generation business, Chairperson. And if I can move on leverage under 5.10.3, we are indicating that Eskom is still highly leveraged, which shows that Eskom is still dependent on debt to finance its assets. And the last one, Chairperson, under the ratio analysis is the one that deals with efficiency. Our analysis shows that it takes Eskom less than a month, less than 2 months to collect outstanding debt from the customer and more than 2 months to pay the creditors, which in terms of the accounting practice is seen as efficient because they have time to pay their creditors. And if I can take members to the analysis on the growth, revenue growth in terms of gigawatt hour, rand in million, and customer growth under figure 18. It shows that the revenue has grown by 14% compared to the previous year of 4.8. And in terms of gigawatt hour, the revenue is declining. In terms of the customer growth, the customers are declining. And our conclusion is that the increase of 18.65% is the one that contributed to the 14%. Chairperson, decision that the energy regulator has made over the five years and the actuals that Eskom has attained. And in terms of the decision and the actual, we can see that there isn't much different. If we can see for 2024, Eskom was granted 300 billion and they've achieved 295. The difference is only around 5 billion, Chairperson. But the last observation that we've made, if we can look at the actual gigawatt hours that have been sold to the customer, there is a decline that we have observed over the 5-year period, being at 183 gigawatt hour for the current year that is under review. Chairperson, on the conclusion, we are recommending that the committee note the performance of Eskom, which is based on the financial reports for the 2024, for the year ending 31st March 2024. And if I can make one last correction, Chairperson, under 6.1, we have indicated that the performance has increased. We actually are saying the performance has declined for the financial year 2024. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Ntakeni. On that note, members, are there any questions or issues of clarity that you may have for Mr. Ntakeni and the other team members that wrote the submission? If you do, please just lift up your hand. I'll recognize you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. If we can also, before you start, to say to members, can we just be brief in forwarding or presenting the questions to the team because of the time constraint that Ms. Msiti has indicated that she has. Over to you, Babu Mkhize.
Thank you, Mr. Ntakeni. When it comes to what the observation is, I think it's important that they need to be clear with what the
Mr. Mkize, sorry to interject. Can you just raise your voice or your volume? Please, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All I'm asking for interface is what action then emanates from some of the observations, because the picture doesn't look good. For example, if I look under 5.4.2.1, where you're saying that the decrease in return on equity implies that the use of shareholder funds by ESCOM to generate profit is not increasing. In view of the recent decisions that we have taken also ourselves as a regulator, is there any action emanating from this in pursuit of clarification of what kind of corrective action could be taken to remedy the situation? That's all for my side. I thank you also for a comprehensive report. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hand, but I think from my side, I have one point of clarity under page 32 on paragraph 5.12.82, where it says that the volume sold in the previous year are less than the I think the current financial year. And we are saying that this is due to the fact that ESCOM is unable to plan for demand accurately. I just wanted to find out that is this the only reason that we have picked up in our analysis in terms of why the sales volume are less as compared to the previous year. Thank you. That's all from my side. You may respond to that, Ntakeni.
Thank you, Chairperson. On the first question as to what are the remedial actions, what is going to happen is that when we communicate the decision of the energy regulator, we'll also request ESCOM to indicate what they are going to do to improve the situation. We do have an annexure that we attach to the letter that we normally send to say, we see this situation, what then will be the action that they will take. But in our submission, we are also indicating, I think under section 6 from 6.2, things that need to be done to improve the situation. But over and above that, ESCOM will have to indicate from their side what will need to be done to improve the situation. And in terms of whether the forecasting mechanism by ESCOM, we see that as the only factor for the declining volume. For now, that's what we have concluded, Chairperson. That I see Ms. Masiti's hand is up. Maybe I can pause here, Chairperson.
Okay, you may come in, ma'am. I believe you are trying to assist the team. Ms. Masiti.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I think it needs to be rephrased. The issue of the declining sales. We all know that for all the years and on record, it has never been just the issue of planning. ESCOM has always stated a number of economic factors, some being the GDP, the growth, and we also know sometimes that it is also due to the constraints. So it's not just one thing, and we also know that there are issues of price elasticity of demand, where now other customers are no longer taking the same amount of or consuming the same amount of electricity. Some they are reducing and so forth. So it is a number of issues. And also we ourselves have been on record in taking decisions to take those issues into consideration. So it is not just the issue of planning as if customers did not take the amounts or the volumes that they said they were going to take. Yes, there is an issue of the notified maximum demand, and we do know that there are some penalties if they exceed that demand. So there's a number of factors that one must take into account when we deal with this. So it is not an issue of planning alone, as I indicated. So there are economic reasons that are also part of this. I think it can just be rephrased, that part. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Ms. Massetti. On that note, I don't see any other hands. Mr. Mkhize, are you covered with the response provided by the team? I think from my side, I am. And on that note, members, the submission is for us to note with the enhancements in terms of the reasons for lower volumes sold. We must cover at least some of the economic reasons that have been provided by Eskom in some of our interaction with them. And also under the overall conclusion 6.1, we will have to note the change that has been verbally presented to say that Eskom's financial performance has not improved. So there is a note that is missing in that first line. So if it can be added. On that note, members, can I get an indication from your side by show of hand that you support the noting of this particular report? Thank you, Ms. Massetti. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. And I also support. On that note, I beg your pardon, I'm joking. On that note, members, and for everyone who has attended our meeting, we have come to the end of the open session of our meeting. May I thank everyone for their attendance, and I would like to declare the open session closed. On that note,